and we'll be showcasing some of the historic highlights in one of Canada's cutest towns, Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Niagara-on-the-Lake is a quaint town in Ontario, Canada, close to the world-famous Niagara Falls.
We just got here and holy moly, it's like right out of a Hallmark movie.
I love it.
As Americans here in Canada, we're a little ashamed to share the historical overview of this town.
The War of 1812 was a tumultuous time for this quaint town.
Eventually, the Americans would burn this town to the ground. But like a phoenix rising from the ashes, the citizens quickly worked to rebuild this town.
Oh, and about its name.
It became Niagara-on-the-Lake around the 1880s as a postal address to distinguish this area from Niagara Falls. I kind of like how unoriginal the name is. It's like, no, we're not Niagara Falls, we're Niagara-on-the-Lake. We're on the lake. The home we're about to take you to actually was not burned down during the War of 1812, and for good reason, which we'll tell you about in a bit. Off to a great start at the McFarland House. Got some nice bird poop on me, so. Okay, bird poop aside, this is a type of home style that I absolutely love, a classic Georgian colonial.
The McFarland House was built by a Scotsman named John McFarland and his sons on land granted to him by King George III. But during the War of 1812, it served as both a hospital and military headquarters by the Americans and the British.
Thus, the retreating Americans did not burn it down, which makes this one of the oldest original structures in the area. I love tours from like the Georgian and Regency area, so if the place has a costumed interpreter, I'm pretty much there. It pays to come early. We had a private tour all to ourselves. It was pretty short and sweet, certainly worth a visit. Now let's see the most quintessential Victorian building in this whole town, and I gotta be honest, this building is literally what drew me to Niagara-on-the-Lake. Built in 1864, the Prince of Wales Hotel had many names and then eventually renamed itself after some royal guests.
Even though those guests didn't have the best time there.
So in 1901, the hotel was preparing for the stay of King George V and Queen Mary, and they tried to impress them by installing gas lamps. However, when the future king and queen arrived, the gas leaked, and then they had to wait outside on the veranda until 3 a.m. until it was fixed.
Nevertheless, the hotel changed its name to commemorate the stay of the Duke and Duchess of Cornwall and York.
We're kind of sneaking in. We're not really meant to be in here, but let's see if we can find the lobby. Okay, so they're fancy in here.
Wow, that was so elegant. Why didn't we stay there?
We can't afford to, that's why.
Going back to the royal theme, let's head to Queen's Royal Park. This is such a scenic place on the water. I really like it here, and it's a gorgeous day as well.
It is. It gives me like New England vibes. I do feel like I'm on the New England coast. We're not the only ones who think this park is scenic. It was actually featured in a movie.
This gazebo was built as a prop for the 1983 film The Dead Zone, starring Christopher Walken. You can see Fort Niagara from this park, which is technically in New York.
I must say, I feel very special right now because our next location was made just for tourists. Look how adorable this place is. Oh my goodness, I've never seen a church this small ever. This adorable chapel was originally built in 1964 by the Niagara Falls Christian Reformed Church. It's really just here for tourists to come in and out of on their travels.
Welcome. You're here just in time for today's service.
A little claustrophobic, but pretty cool.
The mini chapel is 72 square feet and can sit about 6 people. I love that chapel. It's so small and cute. I wonder if anyone's ever gotten married there.
Well, this is the honeymoon capital of the world if you watched our Niagara Falls video. So
True.
Love is definitely in the air around here. This next location is adorable as well.
But it has a very different purpose than the chapel. This is an authentic museum restoration of an 1869 pharmacy that actually operated in Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Whoa. Inside, even many of the pills here were made in the original dispensary in the 19th and 20th centuries.
The Niagara Apothecary not only sold medications, but it also sold train tickets, gasoline, and ice cream.
As soon as we stepped inside, I was immediately reminded of It's a Wonderful Life. It looks like the drugstore that George Bailey worked at as a kid. I could see like Mr. Gower's office in the back, and I could imagine George serving Violet and Mary ice cream.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
At the heart of Niagara-on-the-Lake is the Memorial Clock Tower, and no, it is not a War of 1812 memorial.
The tower was built as a memorial for the town residents who were killed in action during the First World War.
Great idea, but it caused a lot of drama, and it sort of became a battle between the two mayors. A committee chaired by the man who would eventually become the mayor wanted the memorial. The mayor at the time objected the plan and wanted to build a hospital instead.
They ultimately let the people decide, and they voted for the memorial. I will say Niagara-on-the-Lake is a super cute town. I really like this place. If you're visiting Niagara Falls, consider staying outside of Niagara Falls in a place like Niagara-on-the-Lake. It's away from the hustle and bustle of the super touristy parts, you know?
Yeah, it's very laid back here, extremely peaceful, super picturesque. I can't recommend it enough. What did you find to be the most interesting about Niagara-on-the-Lake? Comment below and let us know. And as always, thanks for watching.
Bye.
We're not the only ones who thinks this park is scenic.
Okay.
Think, plural.